All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Organic Fitness Podcast. I have my latest guest here in front of me, Orla O'Flaherty. Orla, say hello to the listeners.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for having me on, Corbin. Really happy to be here today, or this
Right.
morning, should I say, bright and early.
Yeah, we were up early and there was talk of sea swims, but we're both putting them off on hold till later on in the evening because it is quite wet and windy out there at the minute.
Any excuse.
Yeah, putting it off, delay. I'm going to say, eat the frog first thing in the morning. But
Exactly.
I brought you on here to talk about, in particular, your expertise in relation to the menstruation cycle, because I'm a personal trainer as well as an organic grower, and I just want to firstly educate myself a little bit more, as well as the listeners that are just beneficial to both men and in particular females. It's just for you to expand and put down what we call it from the basics to a little more intermediate and advanced in relation to what type of foods, what type of training do you recommend. So I suppose just give the listeners a small bit of background there for, I suppose, your elevator pitch in about 60 seconds, what you would describe yourself as, or where you're from and where you're based.
Yeah, okay. Oh, me and my elevator pitch. I hate the elevator pitch. So I am a naturopath and a herbalist. I'm based in Galway, and I have a fascination around female health and wellness, but hormones specifically. Our bodies are made up of hormones, obviously, but hormones are chemical messengers that tell our bodies exactly what to do, how to react, how to respond. And it's not just the likes of our reproductive hormones that we're talking about. We're also talking about our stress hormones and our thyroid hormones. And we're looking at the whole range and looking at them, how they all amalgamate together and how they make our body work, basically. When it comes to hormones, I always say it's a labyrinth within a labyrinth, because to really get a grasp of it, like, you're going back to basics, you're going back to the root cause of everything, or back to the beginning. So, and that's why I love my job, because I'm always like that, looking for the root cause. So for me, I always have women asking me, how do I fix this? How do I fix the PMS? How do I fix bad period pains? How do I fix heavy periods? How do I fix lack of periods? So amenorrhea, hypothalamic amenorrhea is a really big thing at the moment, and that's because of stress. But when women are asking me, how do they fix these things? I'm asking them, right, why are your periods like this? Why are you experiencing excessive pain? Why are you experiencing bloating? I think that's the better question, because we have to get to the root cause of what exactly is going on. We can't fix something until we know what the problem is.
I just want to stop you there, Orla,
on,
first,
yeah.
if I can. I wanted to start right at the basics for those, including myself, you can put me in that bracket. Tell me the menstruation cycle, tell me the stages of it, so we can go from there and then further expand on that. That's something I want to touch on first, please.
Yeah, no bother. So we have 4 stages of the menstrual cycle. We have the menstruation stage, so that's when the bleed starts. Then we have our follicular stage, so that is also included in the bleeds. So we're going from day 1 of your period right up to, now they say typically day 14 is when you're going to ovulate. That's not actually the case. It's really a myth. They say it just to make it easier to explain things. But every woman will ovulate at a different stage within the cycle. But between menstruation and ovulation, that's your follicular stage. That's when your hormones are being, your follicle stimulating hormone and your luteinizing hormone are being released to create or to mature eggs within the ovaries. And once ovulation, so once your estrogen levels reach peak, that's when you're going to release an egg, and that's when you're most fertile. After the egg is released, then there's a structure called the corpus luteum, and that's where progesterone is made. So once you've ovulated, so again, going back to menstruation, follicular, then ovulation, and then your luteal phase. And that's when your progesterone levels will start rising. And progesterone is a natural antidepressant. But if you have low levels of progesterone, that's when you're looking at the likes of mood swings and, really, to be honest, more low mood than irritability or anything like that. So they're your 4 stages.
Right. And I just want to touch on in relation to the majority of people that I train and mentor and coach, being in their 20s and then following at their 30s and going into their 40s would be the age bracket that the current listeners of this podcast would be. So if you could just tell me, are there different, we call it the stages or different effects throughout those years of, and could you further expand on maybe those points, starting off in your 20s and your late 20s for majority of people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So traditionally as women, we should start menstruation around 14, 15. Now that has lowered in more recent years due to endocrine disruptors and whatnot. But we are at our most, say, fertile time for women, we're at our most fertile time between the ages of 18 to mid to late 20s. Once we head into our 30s, that's when our estrogen levels are starting to dip. So we're looking at the likes then of perimenopause. Typically, perimenopause can start around 38. And when we're talking about menopause, a lot of women think you're in your 50s. There's that stage before menopause, that perimenopause, and that can last for 10 years. And that's that slow decline of your estrogen levels. So that's causing other problems, the likes of slowing down your metabolism and slowing down your digestion and a whole host of different things. But again, when it comes to hormones, everybody's body is different and everybody's going to react differently to it. Totally, but yeah, within your mid-20s, that's your peak time as a woman, say, for your fertility. But then as well, when we're looking at late 20s to early 30s, early to mid 30s, again, yes, our fertility is there. It's lowering slightly, but then also what you're looking at is a higher libido between your late 20s and early to mid 30s. That's when women will actually peak, whereas men will peak in their early 20s to early to mid 20s.
I'm just out of that age bracket.
It's why you see, it's why you see a lot of cougars. You see a lot of older women going for younger men and vice versa. Yeah.
Very interesting. I love the science behind it.
But there is a huge science behind it. And again, it's all down to your hormones. It's all down to these chemical messengers that are being sent throughout the body. And it's all in an evolutionary process too.
That's interesting. And I love the point that you mentioned, the fact that no two people are the same. Everybody's different, and you have to find what works for you. And that's what you currently do with the likes of people that you mentor and you have as your clients. But I'm going to move on to the likes of exercise and people that I train. Some of these questions have come in from clients that I currently have. And it's like, should we exercise on the likes of our period? And is there any with conflicting information that we should or we shouldn't? So I'd just like to have your viewpoints in relation to training and exercises in particular, and different types of exercise that you recommend.
Yeah. So when you're on your period, yes, do exercise. It's actually very beneficial for helping with pain, because you're getting that endorphin hit, that dopamine hit, which are natural analgesics, so natural pain reliefs. So do exercise, but you also have to remember that you're losing blood, you're losing your vital life force. So you do need to tailor it back a bit. I wouldn't, and again, all depending on the types of exercise that you're doing. If you're doing resistance training, weight training, I'd lower the weight slightly just in the first 5 days of your menstrual cycle. And then you can start increasing weight and also increasing volume. So from between say day 5 up until you ovulate, that's when you're really able to increase volume and weight. Your strength is going up because your estrogen and your testosterone are both rising, and you're really at your strongest. Your endurance levels are much higher. And then once you ovulate, you actually need to taper back the weights. You can still have that high volume, but you have to taper back the weights because your progesterone levels are now rising, and that can cause with the likes of your ligaments, your tendons, they're becoming a lot more sensitive and not as pliable as what they should be. So you do need to be mindful just around that ovulation stage. And then when you're coming back up, so when you're back in that luteal phase, that pre-period stage, again, weight wise, you're going to be feeling a bit more lethargic. So going in with the likes of more volume. But yeah, the different phases have different benefits of different training styles, really. And then again, going back to everybody's body is different. So any women who have certain conditions like PCOS, they should actually be not avoiding HIIT, but not doing HIIT too much, because it's causing too much stress on the body. And again, when we're looking at PCOS, there's a lot of variance when it comes to testosterone and cortisol. So we're trying to actually lower those levels. So HIIT increases your cortisol, so we need to be looking at reducing that down a bit.
Yeah, my preference towards training is resistance style training, due to the fact that you're able to change your body composition. And a lot of people will put out the fact that, we should focus on cardio because it burns more calories? Or what about dumbbells? Dumbbells make us kind of bulky. I put up a post about that last week, but it takes a hell of a lot more than lifting a couple of 5 kg or kettlebells around the place to build a little bit of muscle. It's more due down to consistently progressive overload of the muscles, eating a certain amount of protein. And with most people actually under eating protein, there's no fear of people gaining muscle. And it's not like it's as easy as they think. 1 minute you're small and skinny and all of a sudden you're turning out like Popeye, it's ripped off your shirt like the Hulk kind of a job. That's not how it happens. And it's interesting that you recommend during your menstruation cycle period the fact that you should reduce down the high intensity, which is something that I do incorporate in my trainings, but it's something that I'm much more mindful now, especially when talking to yourself. And as a result of that, then I'll take that on board and people I will mentor in the future.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, but that's the thing. Like when I saw you put up that post, I was like, I wish it was that easy to build muscle, because it's not. It's actually very difficult, especially for women, to build muscle. But as well, what we don't realize is that women actually have, excuse me, women have a hell of a lot of testosterone. We actually have more testosterone than men, but it's just we don't utilize it. Our body doesn't utilize it in that way. But it's the same as men. Men actually have a lot of estrogen as well. Like it's like yin and yang. There's a little bit of testosterone there for women. Well, we have a lot of testosterone. It's just we don't utilize it. And then it's the same for men. There's that little bit of estrogen there that you need as well. But then looking at the different types of training styles, you do need to be mindful of the fact of where you are in your cycle. But also remember, it's not that easy to put on muscle. I've been training for the last 5 years. And if it was that easy, I would be Popeye, and I wish I was Popeye, but I'm not. So I'm like, women, don't be afraid of the weights, and the weights are so beneficial for you. They're so good for your metabolism, for again your hormone function. Looking like weight training is really good, especially for women who have estrogenic conditions, because you're then balancing out the estrogen versus testosterone. So again, incorporating the weights is really important.
No, I'm a firm believer of weight training for both male and female. But you see the added advantage, or sometimes it's thrown out there, that cardio burns more calories than compared to weight training. But what actually they don't know is you get to change your body composition when you use weights. And secondly, it's the fact that you get to burn calories as you're sitting down right now. If you did a weight training session, whether it be with 5 kg dumbbells or a kettlebell, the thing is you're repairing, and the majority of people don't take that into consideration. Focusing in on numbers from a watch that might be able to tell you that you've burned so much calories, but it's the things that it can't calculate, and those are only an average of what you actually burned anyway. People who do use the likes of a sports watch for tracking their consumption or usage of their calories burned in a training session. The next topic I want comes in lovely in relation to foods that you recommend maybe with people on their period during their menstruation cycle. So I'm kind of a firm believer in kind of food as medicine, and I do recommend the likes of ginger being a major one, being something that's anti-inflammatory, and as well as that, cayenne pepper can reduce the likes of stress on the body. And those are a couple of things that I have people on the organic fitness program. Firstly, because I like the taste of spices, and cayenne pepper will also put manners on you if you do really like it spicy.
That is very true. And cayenne pepper is like one of those ridiculously medicinal herbs or spices. It's one I use all around the board, especially for the circulatory system and as well for sinuses. I know we're talking about hormones here, but I just have to throw that one in. Like if you snort 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, it's like snuff. You're just going to get rid of all that sinus congestion. But like that, it'll put manners on you, because it's not fun.
Interesting.
I know, just throw that little Easter egg in there. But yeah, so foods for your menstrual cycle. Yeah. And again, going back to when you were asking about the different phases of your cycle. So there's certain foods that are going to benefit you more during different stages. So when you are on your period, again, you're bleeding, you're losing your vital life force, you're losing vital minerals, your iron, your potassium, your phosphorus, your magnesium, like it's all being stripped away. So you need to incorporate foods that are rich in these as well. Such as, so the likes of your beetroot, spinach, and red meat. If you eat meat, a good quality red meat, organic, grass-fed, local, we're very lucky here in Ireland with the quality of our meat. Like if we were in America, I'd be saying something very different. But we are very lucky here. So if you do eat meat, making sure you're getting enough red meat in during that week 1 of your cycle while you're losing all this blood. You need your iron. Then as well, making sure that you are getting enough carbs in. Once your period starts, your body is craving more carbs because the body is under stress. When we're under stress, the likes of cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, we need extra carbs. And as well, just for energy, because we're losing that energy. Then heading into the follicular phase, the ratio starts balancing out then. Yes, you still need to keep your carbs in, but you need to start upping your fats, because it's healthy fats that produce and help hormones to function. We need fats for proper hormone function and production. Then once you've ovulated, that ratio is going up again. You need more fats. You need more fat again for the high levels of progesterone, or for increasing the levels of progesterone and getting the body ready for your period, or it's getting, really what's happening is your body is getting ready for conception. It's getting ready for a pregnancy. It's getting ready for implantation, and we need extra fat. So when you're looking at the menstrual cycle, we are looking at what's the actual purpose of the menstrual cycle. It's to conceive, it's to procreate, it's to be able to support that that embryo being implanted. We need fats for that. And again, looking at the brain, that's where most of our hormones are made. It is one of the fattiest tissues. If it is the fattiest tissue of the body, not one of the fattiest tissues, it is the fattiest tissue. So that needs extra fat. And to make sure that you're getting the proper hormone production for implantation and to support a pregnancy, a fertile pregnancy, or a healthy pregnancy, should we say.
No, that's very interesting. I just want to touch on two things. And the whole time you've been touching on carbohydrates, you've been touching on fats. Protein is something that most people are under eating. And I know that. It's just to clarify that we need to up our carbohydrates at that time of the month, and healthy fats increased as well. But we'll touch on healthy fats to add into. Could be the likes of hemp seeds. I'm a major believer in hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds as well. High in magnesium. Magnesium is going to reduce anxiety. It's also going to improve the likes of your sleep and muscle recovery too. Pumpkin seeds I'm a major fan of, especially if you buy like a full squash, or you're growing your own squash. Cook the whole thing in the oven like a chicken. Take it back out, scoop out the seeds, and don't throw them in the bin. You can use them. They're the exact same as pumpkin seeds. So pumpkins are related to a squash, or related to pumpkins. So you can roast those, or literally make what I do, kind of an oat, or kind of a pumpkin spiced cinnamon. You can put in raisins that are high in antioxidants.
Can I come live with you?
I hate wasting food. And like, do you know what I mean? A lot of people say kind of organic food can be expensive, but use and maximize every single piece of something that you get organically, and you're going to not only save money, but you're going to be healthier. And I talk to people about foods, and it's the foods that benefit them. And I recommend only the best foods. And a lot of people say it can be expensive, but the fact is that no point in having money, or taking money to your grave, or having money later on in life, when you can actually, right now, you're in your youthful stage, you have more energy, you're looking for that significant other, or you're in a relationship with someone, you want to be your best and look your best, and it kind of comes from the inside out. And the natural thing is, if you haven't put on a squash, is full of vitamin A, which is good for your skin health, which is the first sign of your health, if you know what I mean.
100%. But even like you said, that like food is medicine, and you're talking there about your pumpkin seeds. Like, pumpkin seeds are one of the best foods for women because they're full of zinc, and a lot of people equate zinc just for men, for testosterone, for prostate health. But zinc is so important for ovulatory function, or we can't ovulate without adequate amounts of zinc. So getting your portions of pumpkin seeds in every day, it's massively important. But going back again to what you said, food is medicine. It's what Hippocrates said. He's the founder, or the father of modern medicine. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food.
Love that. Yeah, love that quote. That could be the tag of this podcast already. With the likes of iron foods as well, we touched a little bit on healthy fats. So nuts and seeds, hemp seeds are a complete protein, and pumpkin seeds are something we'd add in. Healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil is something that I do recommend. Firstly, but it's not to say that's the best type of oil. There's no type of best anything. It's depending on how you're cooking it. So extra virgin olive oil is high in omega-3s, healthy fats, which you must consume from your diet. But the thing is, it doesn't have a high smoke point when you compare it to coconut oil, which is also a healthy fat. So some people say, what's the best one, Coleman? Just tell me which one I'd buy. Should I buy the extra virgin olive oil, or should I buy the coconut oil? You buy, depending on what you're cooking on. So I buy both. If the option is A and B, always do both. So I get people to add in extra virgin olive oil, cooking at medium to low heat. Maybe eggs is a winner, because I'm a major fan of those, being a complete protein. A lot of people are focusing on protein balls and things like that. Nature's multivitamin is an egg.
Mhm.
Low carb, it's high protein, and it contains healthy fats. And in organic ones and free range ones that you maybe have yourself at home, they also reduce inflammation in the body, can improve your cognitive function, just all small things. Like, in reducing inflammation in your body can come from even the small scale of improving your skin health, reducing spots. But then excessive inflammation could be chronic diseases that could later cause problems later in life. But it likes iron. I want to touch back on iron. So iron foods that you're recommending to people on their period at certain times of the month.
Yeah. So again, going back to like the likes of your spinach, your red meat, and your beetroot. Beetroot is actually really rich in iron. It's rich in iron, magnesium, manganese, and then as well another one is blackstrap molasses. Actually, one of the best ones for women to have. So blackstrap molasses is it's the byproduct from the raw cane sugar, but it's where all the goodness is, all the nutrients is, and really rich in iron, again, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus. The list goes on. It's like everything in it. That is, as well as a multivitamin. So having a spoon of that every morning during your period is really good, again, for your energy levels. Being mindful that yes, it is high calorie, but again,
Nutrient dense calories, nutrient dense, that's
exactly.
so important. So are fats, and in particular, like, I'm going to come from straight from my own experience. I wish that the word fat wasn't linked with body weight, because or they could have called the proteins, the fats, and the carbs a different item, different word, because it's linked with gaining weight, and it's different. Like, fats are so nutrient dense. They do contain 9 kilocalories per gram, but the fact is that it helps improve the absorption of fat soluble vitamins. More vitamins in your body, the more your body can function at optimal levels. Increasing vitamin A, good for your skin health. So it's improving your brain development, it's improving your skin health. Fats are so important. Regulating hormones as well is another breadwinner for healthy fats. Yeah. And getting them from whole foods or extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil. There's another one, 2 ones that I highly recommend people to add into their diet. But the likes of non-heme and heme iron is something that people that are on a plant-based. I eat plant-based. I do eat meat sources. I eat high quality meat when I do. It's not about taking out any one thing, in my personal opinion. It's about eating nutrient dense foods that we're talking about that are high calorie, but they're nutrient dense as well. So can we touch on the likes of non-heme and heme iron? So those are 2 types of iron. So one is more easily absorbed, but you further expand on that with you.
Yeah. But that's it. And you're looking at your food types, your food quality, excuse me, and your absorption. So how is it that we're able to absorb certain irons, and what is it that we need for the likes of your iron absorption? So what is it that you're combining together even? So making sure even that you're getting enough vitamin C, because we can't absorb our iron without vitamin C, and making sure that the quality of your iron rich foods, like you said, the nutrient dense foods, again, going back to whole foods. So when we're looking at different types of foods, so when to break it down, you're looking at the likes of your cereals, your boxed cereals that are quote unquote fortified with vitamins and iron and minerals and whatever. Like, yeah, look, they may be fortified with them, but they're not readily absorbed into the system. So we're not actually getting those nutrients. Whereas when you're looking at your whole foods, the likes of your red meat, your spinach, your broccoli, your kale, all these really good nutrient dense foods, you're getting those vitamins and minerals straight into the system. Again, as long as your absorption mechanism is up to scratch.
With fiber.
And see, that's it too. It's like you need the fiber.
Whole foods.
Yes. And as well, fiber is so, so important when it comes to hormones, because it's all about the gut, but as well, when you're looking at hormones, it's our liver that will metabolize and excrete excess hormones from the system, or not excrete, metabolize them and help to flush them out. But then it's our bowels. We're literally pooping out excess hormones. So you need to have the fiber. You need to make sure that fiber is there to literally grasp onto the excess cortisol, excess estrogen, excess testosterone, to poop it out of you. Simple as.
And it's great that you're touching on the likes of estrogen right there in relation to foods. Okay, with people going more plant-based and it being quite topical, and I'm a firm believer on it, but the fact is that there are negatives too, we call it, research out there that says soya products can increase or different types of hormones in the bodies. But remember that soya is a complete protein for those people who are on either a vegan or a vegetarian diet, which is absolutely fine. I train people, I've done trials myself for periods, and I just feel that I like a mix of the proteins from different sources, but it's a complete protein, it's high in fiber, it's can have benefits as well as negatives, but I'd like to maybe touch on the fact that, expand on that.
Yeah, 100%. And soy is, it's one of those, it's a topical conversation. And this all goes back again to everybody's body is different. So yes, soy product is a phytoestrogen food, contains plant sterols. That's fine. If you can eat soy products, as long as it's organic and non-GMO, because GMOs are extreme endocrine disruptors. So you need to be making sure, especially with soy products, that you are eating organic. But if you're someone who has no estrogenic problems, that's fine. You work away on your soy. But if you're someone who has conditions like endometriosis or cysts or fibroids, or if there's a history of breast cancer in the family, then you need to be looking at how much you're consuming. So 1 to 2 portions a week, that's fine. Try and get your other complete proteins in different sources. If you're plant-based, the likes of your hemp seeds, your quinoa, and then your combination proteins. But again, if you have an estrogenic condition, you need to be mindful of those estrogenic rich foods. Sorry, I know it's one of those topics that's just, people either love me or hate me when I go into soy.
And certainly, and I recommend it to people to start adding in fermented foods, and especially tofu and tempeh being fermented, which is good for your gut, which is good for your gut health. And then they come up with a study to say that estrogen can have negative effects on the body, in particular with men gaining moobs or boobs, and the fact that women it affects their hormones. But the thing is, it's in moderation, and to say that you should only eat those types of foods is incorrect. You want to have a balance, and I know that can be difficult for people, but having the wide spectrum of proteins, complete proteins is something I add in. You can add in those, we call it those lentils or breadwinner, they're fiber, they're high plant-based protein, and they're a carbohydrate. They're literally good for your skin because it's the orange color. Think of vitamins and minerals like colors. If you're eating color, you're eating more vitamins and minerals. Okay, the darker the color, the higher the antioxidants. So you can have lentils, and you can have those pumpkin seeds. There'll be zinc, there'll be magnesium. Boom, you're on a winner. You can mix in tahini, make a tahini sauce. There's a healthy fat in that as well. I know I'm mouth water here. Like when I talk
please come and live
food.
with you. You are adopting me, and that's it. I'm a massive foodie.
I love, what's your food improves your mood. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm going to actually incorporate in is I'm going to try to do lives, or sorry, not one-to-one lives with a podcast, and try to do cooking. So next, I'm going to have you on again for sure. That'll be unreal.
Definitely, because I love cooking and I'm a feeder, so I am. I just love to feed people good food. But no, going back to what you were saying, like you're completely right. Like bringing things in moderation, incorporating them in moderation, and the likes of men and estrogen, a lot of estrogens in the food. Bring it back again to the gut and the fiber. If you're eating enough fiber, you're going to poop out those excess hormones. So as long as you're having a good balanced diet, it's okay. I just actually want to touch on one thing again with the soy, is that yes, soy it can be not very beneficial for some people, but then you're looking at women who are menopausal. It's an estrogen rich food, same as flaxseed. When you're starting perimenopause, when you're starting menopause, when those estrogen levels are going down, that's the time when you start increasing those foods, the phytoestrogen rich foods, the likes of your soy and your flaxseed. So like there's benefits, but there's downfalls to everything, and there's a balance with everything.
Totally. It's the fact that carbs aren't bad, tofu isn't bad. There's no one thing that's terrible for you. HIIT training isn't bad. It's the fact that depending on where you are, what age you are, what current fitness level you have, and what ailments you are trying to improve or have or trying to improve on, determines what foods that you have. Because food is medicine. And the fact that and so is exercise, but the thing is, combine it together to make it suit you. There's no point in having a plan or doing something just because somebody else is doing it, or because Orla said it once on a post, or Coleman said it once on a post about food or about training or about specific supplements that you should take. There's no one thing that everybody should do. And the quote is of the day: no shoe is the right price if it doesn't fit.
And it's so true. Like there's so many women who will come on to me and ask me what my diet is. Give us a breakdown of your diet for the day. And I'm like, no, because it's not going to benefit you. I don't know what is, I don't know what conditions you have. I don't know what way your hormones are. And for me, I have I'm predominantly paleo, but with a hell of a lot of fruit and veg. No, there's nothing wrong. I need to be mindful of my words here. Not that there's nothing wrong with grains. But for me, with the conditions that I have, so I have an overactive thyroid and I also have a condition known as endometriosis. So they are inflammatory causing conditions. I need to be mindful of my gut health. So grains, some grains, if they're not prepared right, can be harmful on the gut. So that's why I am predominantly paleo, but that's not going to suit everyone. I've other women who have no conditions and I'm like, brilliant, work away. You can have this, and this. What I'm eating isn't going to benefit you. Going back again to everybody's body is different.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap it up on that, and I'll have to definitely have you on the podcast again. We've loads to chat about.
I know.
And so we'll leave it there, but I want you to tell the listeners where's the best place for them to contact you, your social media platforms, and I'll be tagging it up on the show notes anyway. But
yeah, thank you. So I'm Orla _naturopath_herbalist on Instagram, and on Facebook it's Orla O'Flaherty naturopath and herbalist. And then I have a podcast called Orla's Happy Hormones Podcast, and you can get that on iTunes and Podbean. And I will I will have a website out soon. It's under development and we're nearly there with it. So that'll be orlaoflaherty.com. So that'll be out soon.
Brilliant, Orla. Thanks very much for coming on, and I appreciate your information and valuable tips and strategies you put into place there. But I always end the show by saying, stay tuned, stay classy, and keep it organic.
Thanks, Colin.